Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Today is Open Line Friday. And Bahamians, we have a whole lot of things to discuss today. I have a whole lot of things on my mind, but we got to hear from you because it's Open Line today. And I'm going to tell you something about the Supreme Court because I tried all of the numbers. The main number 397-1800. No one is answering the phone. What happened to those people at the Supreme Court? I called there to speak to Justice Ian Winder. And the question I have for him, only him one could answer the question. No one else is there able to answer the question. No one to take a message. What kind of crap is this? And all these other numbers they have listed there, out of service, or phones keep ringing, and no one picking up the phones. Then they had one where they talk about the first name of the person. When you get young like me, we into all that crap. Give us an extension. We could dial the extension on the phone. They don't even consider the conditions of this country and have something in place which is acceptable to the average Bahamian. Why do you want the average Bahamian to be wasting time? Give me an extension. Say that's the extension. Bing. You put it in the phone. Bing. You're gone. About first name and last name. What kind of crap, man? All they're doing is making it. See, is this the kind of justice we're supposed to have in this country? I'm going to go there in person on Monday to the Supreme Court. I'm not going to waste time calling them. What about those people who are not on New Providence who call the Supreme Court? What about them? They're supposed to fly over just to see, get the Chief Justice? Is that what it's supposed to be now? All this modern technology we got in this place. And you have all difficulty under the sun to make a simple flipping telephone call, man. What kind of crap is this? But the man said he's supposed to be for justice. Well, this is the big mistake right here. If they can't handle simple, basic telephone calls, man. I know I used to get through on 397-1800. Yeah. And another gentleman in another building told me to keep trying. Why the heck I should keep trying? When they tell you no one is there to answer the phone, huh? What kind of crap is that? What kind of service is that? These people getting paid, you know, and getting good money to do nothing. You try all the numbers for the Supreme Court, see if you can get through. I want the audience to try them. I made sure I did that just before I left for the show today, as I can test this water for myself. Monday, I go in there in person. And I can tell you what the results will be when I come on air at 2 o'clock on Monday morning. Oh, that's Constitution Day. Praise the Lord. But Bahamians, I am in the business of testing this system that we call justice. And Bahamians, if it ain't there, that's exactly what I will say. It is not there. But so far, I am not pleased with a simple, basic telephone call to the Office of Chief Justice. You can't get a simple telephone call in there. Nobody to answer the phone. Only one person I was able to reach, but that's in another section of the Supreme Court. And I told that particular personality, all the numbers, either they're out of service or no one is answering the phones, man. They just keep ringing. That's the kind of Supreme Court you got. You think people who are struggling to get a couple of dollars in their pocket should be wasting their valuable time calling these numbers? They're trying to get a piece of bread for their children. What kind of crap is that? I can tell them take a page out of the House of Assembly. I hope they're still that way now, because when I used to call them on the first ring, bing, the receptionist pick up the phone. I hope they're still doing that now. House of Assembly members, don't let me down now. You've been doing it for years. You've always given me good service. And I want to say that about the House of Assembly staff. They have always given me good service, and I got my friend right here, Brother Cartwright, who's been experiencing that, getting good service from the people at the House of Assembly. They're very cordial. They're very nice people. Why the heck the Supreme Court people can't be like them? They all get paid out of the same public treasury, isn't they? The House of Assembly staff has been doing that for years. And I really appreciate when I call them and I need information, I can get that information if they have it within their power to assist me. Or they will forward me, say, Professor, here is what you can do. And that is good. Why the heck we can't get that from every position or every situation in the public service? Supreme Court is lousy, just trying to answer telephones. What about weightier matters? They got one weighty matter before the Supreme Court, you know. But the man said he could give justice. Say, this is the place to get justice. It must be done. It must seem to have been done. Right now, I'm very displeased because the general public is put at a terrible disadvantage trying to call the Supreme Court. And they got one main number. We should have numbers to the office of Chief Justice, to the office of the justices. They have per secretary. They have people take the message. The man might be busy. He might be doing some other thing. I ain't got no problem with that, you know. But when you cannot get in at all, and I told the gentleman, you call them before lunch, no answer. You call them lunchtime, no answer. You call them after lunch, no answer. You call them in the afternoon, no answer. What the heck are they doing? That is not acceptable to the general public of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And plenty of you experiences this kind of crap, and you sit right there with your mouth pinned up. Now, all of you have been experiencing what I experienced today. I say, let me just test this wicked system. See if it make any friggin' sense. Huh? That's what you have to do, Bahamians. When I have done my homework, and this ain't the first time I did it, you know. I didn't say nothing in the past. But I say, let me try it today before I come on the show. And the person I spoke to is in another building. It's a part of the Supreme Court, but it's a different section of the Supreme Court. Only one man I want to speak to, that's Justice Ian Winder. He says the Chief Justice. Because the kind of question I putting to him, only him one could answer it. And nobody else could answer it. These underlings don't know anything, Bahamians. They are dense. So let's talk to the man at the top, who is the head of the judiciary. That's what they tell me. And then if he can't answer it, then I know what to do. Huh? Bahamians, you have fundamental rights, freedoms, and privileges that are being walked on every living day of your life. And you ain't say a peep squeak about it. All you do is sit right there in the muck and the mire and think you're supposed to be sitting in that muck and mire. But I ain't sitting in no muck and no mire. I can tell you that right off the top. Not Professor Sidney Walter Thompson. And I expect you to do the same thing. You're too quiet on too many major. Now, this one is kind of small. This is just telephone calls. And they've fallen down on that. Maybe they'll have some people to answer the friggin' phones on Monday. Huh? The phone's just ringing, 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 and then others again out of service. How many numbers out of service at the Supreme Court? What kind of crap is that? Does that make any sense, Bahamians? All that money we pay out every single month. And this is the kind of lousy, messed up, mixed up, confused service. That ain't no service. Well, I can call them out today. The Supreme Court needs to improve on its public relations with the public because it's in a mess. This ain't the first time this has been happening. In time past, you could have dialed 3971800. That's what the man tells me. I tell him I've been trying that for days. Can't get through. You there out there who have been calling the Supreme Court. Remember I told you call the Supreme Court, talk to the Chief Justice, right? Now all of a sudden nobody's there to answer the friggin' phone. So who they think they're trying to fool? You ain't gonna fool me. Because I can call your butt out. You're not doing a service to the general public. You're making life difficult for the little fellow who got to use all his time to scrap for a piece of bread to feed them hungry children he got in his house. But he must waste all this time trying to get a simple telephone call to the Supreme Court. Give me a break, man. He has enough problems on his back as it is now. You want to eat up more of his time? Just keep calling. That's what the fellow told me. I said, okay, fine. I stopped right there because I won't blame him for nothing. He's just one of them underlings in there. He can't answer no question, no how. I didn't even bother to ask him any question because I know how they go, you know. You think professors don't know them? As young as I am, I know them. I know their modus operandi. I could speak with authority on it. But plenty of you who know you keep your friggin' mouth shut. And you don't say anything. That's why the system gets worse, because you don't cry out against these injustices that are happening to you every single day of your life. I think we have a caller on the line. I didn't ask for calls yet, but caller, bring the caller through, please. Caller, come on. Caller, you there?
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Go ahead.
Professor,
Yes, ma'am.
you ever try to call cable and telco? Jesus, Lord, you won't get no answer from them. You better have one family working in there to help you.
I'm glad you called about that because I blasted the Supreme Court today because I told myself I am going to try these numbers just before I leave for the show. And my
Man, if
sister
you don't
was
have no family
reminding me
working
of
in
the
them
time.
places, you will never get no service, baby. Sorry about that.
Well, then that's why the people got to speak out against it. The only persons who've been giving real service, and I hope they don't let me down today now.
Put this number in, put this on. Yeah,
Caller,
know
just
who to,
listen,
you
just
know
listen.
who to talk to.
Caller, listen, just listen, man. The only agency in the Department of Government is the House of Assembly that has been given real service to the public for years. I'm telling you what I know. I am telling you what I've been through. Doesn't matter which government was in power. They out there to perform a service. The House of Assembly people, don't let me down, please. And of course, the Department of the Registration Department. Now, see, I haven't been to them in a little while. But I hear they have all kinds of things happening over there. Caller still there? Is the caller still there, Mr. Producer? Okay, she gone. Okay. Now she talked about Cable Bahamas and BDC. Now I got some issues with BDC. I don't like them cutting off my phone when I call someone. I don't like it at all. They got to stop this foolishness. I am paying for the call. What the heck are you cutting me off for? For what? In times past, I could go on for hours. The phone's still there. Now you go for an hour or so. Bing! I said, what kind of crap is this? These funny things interfere with the lives of the average Bahamian. And I'm glad the lady called. The lady, I know her quite well. She's my good friend. And she's having another problem. I may speak to that today, but the point is, Baham, is you don't cry out against the injustices that are being perpetrated on you. Now, Supreme Court, just get your act together. Because if you continue this crap, I will call you out every living day. You'll be mentioned on this radio station as long as I'm the host now. I expect to be here till Christ come back. And that's what you got to do to these people. Call them out. Don't take the crap from them. You have rights, freedoms, and privileges. Your constitutional privileges, rights, and freedoms are being violated. That's a small area now. Them small areas, they travel into big areas. Then you find they're doing all kind of funny things. Huh? I get dead vexed about that. I don't like it, Bahamians. You know the kind of time it takes to keep calling all these numbers? You can't get one simple telephone call to the office of Chief Justice. What kind of crap is that? They used to have one secretary there. Secretary there, take the number. Even the commissioner of police got one secretary. Say they take the number. But I hear nothing from them yet. I can call them again too, because I can test them too. And see what's happening. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
That's good. Hey, you know what the problem is? Why you can't get an answer to a phone call?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Like you can't be, they answer the phone after the election. Why you keep rushing up on them?
Let me say
You know they can't, the courts can't control the government. The government, the courts don't control the government.
Okay.
I don't care in the Bahamas, that is.
Okay.
You know that from that time. You hang up on me now, right? And there you go. Hang up on the phone. You quit to hang up on me.
Oh, for crying out.
Not even saying, I don't want to say nothing derogatory or anything. You quit to hang up on the call up. Mr. Thompson, get this up here.
Just terminate the call, please. See, now, he started off with a lot of crap. I wasn't going to hang him up. But he is already determined that I'm going to hang him up. I said to hold on. I wanted to make a correction because he doesn't understand the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I get upset when I hear people talking foolishness and nonsense. You have three branches of government in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. The judiciary branch, the legislative branch, the executive branch. Each work independently of each other. The head of the judiciary is Ian Winder. Sir Ian Winder. Let me make sure I give him his props now. Sir Ian Winder. He is head of the judiciary. I have a question. I have to appeal to him. Nobody else in there can answer it. All those underlings in there, they can't answer nothing. They're like dead weight. I wish there were more who could answer the question or have the boldness to answer the question. It shouldn't have to wait on a particular personality. All these things should be in place so that if a member of the public called to have a question answered, they have it right there in the book. This is the answer. Why should we be wasting time? Why should you have to wait on a particular personality just to get a simple answer to a simple question? Why? That's why this country is all messed up. Because everything is just locked away in the particular mind of a particular personality. I'm not saying the Chief Justice is a terrible person, so don't misunderstand me. But I just get upset with the system that they have. Now, he's talking something else. I don't want to get into that. I'll leave that one alone. You're supposed to get justice every single day. Do you understand that, Bahamians? You're not supposed to be frustrated by the Supreme Court. You know that, right? No man, woman, or child should ever have their lives frustrated by what? Deprivation. I'm being deprived of getting a call to the Chief Justice. You hear any crap like that? It happened to me today. And as long as they keep that foolishness up, I will call them out every living day I have the opportunity to do so. So they ain't gonna get away with this one. I got to check up on the House of Assembly too to see how quick they're answering the phone. They've been doing a good work for years. I've experienced that. Now, the Parliamentary Registration Department, they were doing good service, but I ain't been there in a little while, so I know what's happening over there. But they tell me some funny things happening over there. I got to check that one out. But they were doing good services in the past. But then the fellows who were there, I knew them personally, the deputy and the commissioner. But all that has changed, and they got some other people in there. But the service should not change. Why should the service change? Because you changed the manager, you changed the commissioner. What kind of crap is that? All of them getting paid, they're getting money. Why should the public be deprived of good quality judicial service? Now you answer that for me. Why? And the man getting his check every month. And them underlings and them getting their check every month. So what the heck are we paying them for? To do what? And you can't get a simple telephone call in to the Office of Chief Justice. I thought to bring that up in the show today because I'm dead upset about that. I don't like it. And I know it's affecting a lot of you out there. You ain't opened your mouth about it yet. You just sit right there in the crap. You see that lady called about BTC and what the other one named? The cable company. In fact, someone was telling me about the cable company, but I'm sort of reluctant to fool around with them. But we have to deal with these day-to-day issues. And let me put a general announcement out there while it's in my head. I made an appeal to the financial community. That appeal still stands. I told them about these financial terminologies that are mentioned in the budget, which they have far more knowledge on it than I do. Now, when it comes to the Constitution, I ain't got to ask them for nothing. Not even 1 second of their time. I don't have to ask them. The point is, these are financial terminologies that are used by the international community, and the average Bahamian doesn't understand these things. It has to be explained, so we're asking the people in the financial community to give us an hour of their time. Just call and leave your number with the producer. Or you could call me, as I said, on National Affairs, 325-8652. And you say, Professor, I'd like to assist you in helping to educate the people on this budget. You got all this knowledge in your head. Huh? But it's no good if you don't share it with the general public so they can have a greater understanding of what all these terminologies mean. And then you have it in such a language that the average person could never understand. Just like the legal language. I could strip that to the bone, so I ain't got to worry about that part. Whether it's statute law, constitutional law, regional law, international law, it doesn't matter. I don't have no difficulty with that. But I'll say this, that with some things that I don't have expertise in, I have to find people who can assist and make things happen. Because it's important that you in the public get the right understanding on these financial terminologies. I ain't gonna try to tell you what it is because I am not qualified in that. Now, when it comes to the Constitution, that's a different kettle of fish. I ain't got to ask them nothing. Not even 1 second of their time. I got to ask them nothing. But I'm saying for the sake of the general public, these terminologies that they created, these financial institutions and these international bodies, they talk in all kind of terminology. These upgraders, we don't understand what the heck that is. So we ask you to give the public a clear understanding. So the woman in Baintown with them 5 boys and the man in Foxhill, he's still looking for sons-in-law for his 6 daughters. They ain't find them yet. You young men ought to behave yourself. Just knifing up and killing of one another. You expect the country to go anywhere like that? And the women want husbands, but they ain't want no crappy male. I can tell you that right off the top. I know some single women who are looking for husbands. Huh? They want good husbands. We ain't got enough good young men here. I got these 2 men right here. If you could find some. The women say they want to get married. They won't have any of them funny things with them people that do out there. They ain't like that. They want to do it the right way. We got to help them. I have my 2 guests in here. Say I got to stop because I tell them I'll talk till Christ come back. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. This is Open Line Friday. You can call in, but I had to blast the Supreme Court today. I go in there on Monday in person, and I can tell you what the result will be when I come on the show on Monday. So I give them warning now. I ain't wasting no time calling no phone, but they don't answer no phone. They're doing foolishness and nonsense. I can see what the result will be on Monday. And any crap they come up with, I'll tell you about that too. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break. Supreme Lord didn't say it have to be right, your views and your ideas, you know. You could be dead wrong. Now, if it ain't constitutionally sound, now that's a different kettle of fish. I'll have to correct you on that one. But don't try to make your view as if it is constitutionally sound when it is your personal view. Say, Professor, this is my personal view. I have to leave it like that. I don't even have to question it because you've already expressed that your personal view. Mr. Producer, we have a caller. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please. Caller, you there? I'm like this caller in here. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please. Okay, we're not hearing them. Mr. Bruce, you could cut that one. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming, Mr. Hyler and Mr. Cartwright. Let me start off with Brother Cartwright, because I know he got plenty to say.
Well,
and Hyler can take notes. I know he got a pen right in the hand.
well,
right
good afternoon, Global 99 FM audience. I'm glad to be here, Professor, Brother Hyler. I was just reading from Wednesday's article some of the comments by the president of BICA, which is the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants. And he said that he's urging the government to diversify their government resources. And then he goes on to speak about the National Investment Fund. And in that article, in this article, he lays out some things that is basically questioning the operation of the investment fund. He goes in detail where he starts to speak to it and saying that it is intergenerational equity goals are well conceived, which is that the plan of it is very good. But he said its governance structure requires more development. So he's saying that even though they're structured, more needs to be done. Then he goes on and he says, legislative clarity, financial disclosure, mandates, and independent oversight will be essential to ensure public confidence and effective operation. So he's saying that, listen, this investment fund is a good thing, but if you want the public to now feel sure that their natural resources is being managed properly, you need more legislation and to build the public confidence.
Okay.
So he goes on and said it continues to legitimacy hinges on governance safeguard, legislative clarity, and transparent reporting. So he's saying all of these things. I like what you guys doing, but you ain't doing enough.
What do you say about this into what?
He said it's an intergenerational equity goals. He said,
what do we mean by that? What
means that the plans that for the investment fund, which used to be the sovereign wealth fund,
okay,
it is a great structure. But he's saying there's some, basically you could almost call it like loopholes, because he's saying, listen, man, we need to have more legislative enforcement. We need to have more clarity, transparency, and confidence by the public.
Okay, fair enough.
So what you're doing is now, if you're going to run this for I think we got to call it in.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's take
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was going to get the call.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
I like to let the caller get
No, but that's fine. But when I give the signal to it, I will tell you to stop and then we take the call. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Okay, well, I'm not going to be on too long, but I'm talking about agencies and when it's difficult to get into. You need to check NIV. And when you go down there, all you can hear in NIV is Creole.
Okay.
That's it's the pits to try and call and then to get to speak to anybody. It's very difficult. And when you go down there, you can see why it's very difficult. There's no English being spoken down there. I'll hang out.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Let me
just comment on that.
Yeah,
let's comment on that.
Her,
and then Brother Hyler will.
One of the biggest problems that I think we have not, as Bahamians, stand up and demand from the administrations, past and present, that it is high time that we restructure NIB, because NIB was only designed for the citizens of the Bahamas.
Yes.
And the problem we have seen with NIB is that administration, past and present, so that anyone who works in the Bahamas must make contribution to NIB. But the problem with that is that a lot of these persons who making contribution are not citizens. So when you take their money out, and if something was to happen to them, they're looking for some form of payment back for their contribution. And I always believe that the government of the Bahamas should have created a separate fund for non-citizens. So if you come to the Bahamas to work, you should then contribute more to a fund because number one, you now have to be taking you putting a strain on our healthcare
Of
service
course.
and other services that we are providing for the citizens.
Right.
So the government should have already created a plan that where non-citizens can make their contribution, and if something happens to them, they should have no worry that no, okay, I know where I can go and receive my contribution from when I put in.
Yes.
You can't put everybody in one pot, and then when something happens, if you notice nowadays, people tell you that not many Bahamians taking advantage or using the service of NIB.
Yes.
So now when you take non-citizens using that same service, which was only created for the citizens, it becomes a strain.
Yes, it will.
And then also you notice carefully that over the last few years, we started to hear rumblings from NIB where they were saying, hey, we might run out of money. So
Right.
basically what happened, of course, a lot of the citizens, instead of waiting for 65, decided, you know what, we ain't sure the money can be there for us, so we'll take this early retirement. So now you have early retirement, you've got debts, you've got sickness, and so the overall contribution bearing down on this fund. And
Of course.
also,
That is correct.
we've never heard a clarity from NIB, whether it's the minister or the person in charge directly of NIB, let the public knows how much money that they've basically collected and how is the fund invested.
Yes.
And if funds are being borrowed from NIB by other government agencies, has it ever been paid back
With interest.
with interest?
Yes.
And
That's
so
right.
all of these things causes a breakdown on that particular fund because
That's correct.
people don't realize that the funds in NIB is pension funds.
That's right.
Meaning is that the individual, the government requires them by law to contribute.
Of course.
So if you contribute it into a personal fund, which is the national fund, then that money should be set aside separate
For that
from
purpose.
government going in and borrowing or any entity going and borrowing because that is not
That's not the purpose
that's
of the
not a
fund.
private that is not a private entity.
Yes.
That is the public entity.
That's right. That is right. Mr. Hyler.
I'll just check to see if we have a call first. Okay, we do have a call, Professor. I'll comment after. Good day,
Calling you
Bob.
live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, Mr. Cartwright
Good afternoon,
and
ma'am.
Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Good day. Good day.
Good day.
Now, two things. I was reading the Tribune yesterday, and if you remember, the folks in the Abaco Keys are crying out because of all of the illegal Haitians that are on the island. And they're beginning now to build back those structures in the bushes. Right? So the pigeon pea is coming back now on the Keys in Abaco. Now, the person who spoke said, they couldn't give their name. And they said that they have reached out to the government for help. And they're getting nothing from the government. They have made complaints about all of the illegals that are down there, and it's not being addressed. Okay? Now, my next thing is, I heard Mr. Cartwright and Professor yesterday. You said that immigration is a problem in terms of, I guess, trying to fix it,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
That is
But
correct.
if our Constitution, that both of you talk so highly about, if our Constitution is our Constitution, then immigration can't be a problem
Okay, stop right there.
because we have a Constitution.
Okay, stop right there. Do you believe what the Constitution
Okay.
says? Hold on, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you believe in what the
Yes.
Constitution said? The government of the Bahamas is not going by the Constitution. That's the real problem. They have been violating that Constitution for 52 long years. Do you understand how serious that is? Do you think the people of the
That
Bahamas
I
understand that? That's
That
the
I
real
guess
crux.
we understand.
Yeah, hold on. That's the real crux of the problem. The government itself is violating the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's what the real problem is. That's why some of us had to take action against the government of the Bahamas on behalf of the Bahamian people. This is very serious business. And we've been sitting here for 52 long years, allowing the government of the Bahamas to continue the crap they started July the 10th, 1973, right on up to the day as I speak to you.
Right.
That's the real crux of the problem. So the Constitution, no, hold on. Let me make this clear.
Okay.
The Constitution is supreme law. You have a government that violates that supreme law repeatedly over and over and over and over again. Now that crap has to stop. That's why action was taken out against them. Now, hopefully the Supreme Court will start working on that this month.
Right. So,
Okay, go on.
Professor, my question becomes this to you, Mr. Cartwright, from listening yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
If the government then decides to go by our Constitution as they should, what happens with the folks who we know should not be in that country?
Then they have to be sent out of the
According
country.
to our Constitution.
They have to be deported out of the country. Do you see any mass deportation by the government of the Bahamas?
Not at all.
Okay,
We're
good.
not even hearing about anything.
No, you ain't
Professor,
hearing nothing about that. So the government of the
Nothing.
Bahamas is the real culprit behind the crap that's going on in this country. That is a very serious indictment against them. And Bahamian people need to wake up who the real enemy is. The very ones you gave authority to run this place are the very ones who are jacking it up. That's the real problem. And we have to face it the way it is.
And I know, Professor, as we hear from Justice Winder, he is saying that, or at least the case that the Patriots have is supposed to have taken place either April, May, or June.
But
now
this is
we're
June now.
basically halfway through June,
Yes.
and we ain't hearing nothing yet.
That's why I can
But
go
I
down
want
there.
Justice Winder to know June has an end date.
Yeah, it does.
It has an end date.
Yes, ma'am.
Now he got a couple more days to hurry to get this case caught, and we're gonna be watching
Oh, we're going to watch him
through
now.
the end of June.
We're going to watch him very
We're waiting.
closely. I can make a
Yes.
personal appearance there on Monday because I tried the number, what the man told me is supposed to be the main number. Ain't nobody answering the friggin' phone. And they tell you that.
Professor, even when you get one of them on the phone, because I've spoken to that lady a couple of times, you give her the case number, you tell her to pass this message to Justice Winder, and you don't hear nothing else.
I agree with you.
That's if you're lucky to get through.
If you're lucky to get through. Because I remember that
If
one
you're
point,
lucky to get through.
at one point you could have gotten through. But now you can't get through at all because nobody is there. And they got the announcement right there. No one is here to answer the friggin' phone.
Well, they can stall as much as they want. June have an end date,
It certainly
and
does.
we are waiting for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want Bahamians to know we have to love our country over any party.
I agree with you.
Because if we don't have a country,
You have nothing.
what does the party mean to us?
Absolutely nothing.
Now we have major problems in this country,
Serious.
and this ain't about party.
Serious major
This is about
national
us
problems.
being Bahamians.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. Ma'am, you
So
hit the nail.
we're watching with you.
We're going to keep watching the Chief Justice. That's why I am going to appeal to him. He is the head of the judiciary, and the first caller was talking nonsense and foolishness. I had to cut him because he said I was going to cut him. I wasn't going to cut him. I asked him to stop so I could explain something to him that the heck he does not even understand. When people talk in
Well, I
foolishness,
just want to tell all of these foreigners who are in our country, elections is coming up either this year or next. I want them to know they have no place in our elections.
no place.
And they got no polls to go to
Yes, ma'am.
because they cannot vote.
Exactly. I
And
love
we'll be
that.
ready for that.
That's a good point to end
Thank you,
off. And
Professor.
thank you very much for your contribution. Why we can't have calls like that every day, gentlemen?
I don't know, but I'm hearing part of the Minister of Immigration and National Insurance, and I'm looking at his contribution where he stated that costs of detention and repatriation exercises are burden on the taxpayers. And he goes into detail that he says that the repatriation in 2024 was only 2,910 foreign nationals who were repatriated, and overwhelming number of them were Haitians. But those numbers was down compared to 2023, where they repatriated 4,994, and down from 2022, where they repatriated 4,748.
Okay.
But the problem I'm having is that the repatriation costs for 2024 to 2025 was estimated to be $1,550,977, with other repatriation expenses currently being processed for payment. But in the budget for 25-26, it is estimated that they will be spending $1,847,000 for the repatriation of undocumented immigrants.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to understand some of these terminology, because in his speech he's talking about undocumented,
Yes.
and then further on, as he said later on here, he says a mere 50 irregular migrants are being housed at the detention center. So I don't know what terminology, how they break it down and stuff. So because if you follow the law, and this is one of the things that I get mad with when I listen to parliamentarians, because they make it look like a ping pong ball. And then I always try to explain to them and say, listen, the 39 of you guys sit down in this place. Yes, you have an administration, which is has the majority, and you have the opposition. And I said, if the government or the administration of the Bahamas is not doing right by the people,
Yes.
then it's you who sit in opposition supposed to open your mouth and speak for the people.
Of course.
You cannot sit down and then don't say that and then say, well, it ain't me, I ain't in power. No, you are in power, because all laws and regulations that they put in place, you got to show how you voted and then explain to the people, well, why did it got passed?
Yes.
They don't do any of that. And I
No,
always
they
say to them,
don't.
because we've been looking at the Nationality Act, and I always say to people, they say, well, it's a law. And I said, and technically it is a law, but
Constitutionally, it is not law.
But it is an order. And I said, if you listen to the last summation by the Privy Council, they remind the government, listen, we do not want to hear anything about statute law.
That's right.
We want to see what is in your written constitution.
That's correct.
And this is where I have a problem with the parliamentarians not knowing the difference.
They made that mistake July the 10th, 1973, when the Nationality Act was passed under the colony.
Yes.
They never had a referendum on the Nationality Act. It is not a legal document. They did not go through the process of the supreme law. So it is not law, period. And that's the argument we want to push forth. How the heck you could talk about that as any law? It does not line up with the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, which is what? The supreme law.
Yes.
That's the real problem in this country, because the government of the Bahamas was wrong from day one, July the 10th, 1973, when they said this piece of crap was supposed to be law. That's when it died, because the supreme law came into effect July the 10th, 1973, and that law says any other law that is inconsistent with this Constitution, this Constitution shall prevail, and the other law, to the extent of its inconsistency, is what? Null and void. That's what the supreme law says, and the Nationality Act never, ever was regulated under the supreme law.
See, Professor, here's how I look at this, and this is what I've been watching and observing. Many of our parliamentarians, and when you talk with one or two of them, they would say, oh, the law was carried over. And it's like,
carried over where?
I said, when you bring in a law over, the first thing it says here in the Constitution of 72, 73 says, any law existing or new law doesn't line up with this new supreme law, it's invalid.
Invalid, yes.
And for some reason, they have never looked at the act and said, okay, let us take the act line by line. Look at the Constitution, dealing with citizenship, line by line.
Yes.
See if they both, they join together and they
Right.
get.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they're not, then you said, oh, now we realize we made this mistake and put it aside. They have not sat down, and I keep telling someone that asked me yesterday. He said, well, how you'll deal with that? I said, okay, to make it easy for them.
Well, listen now, if you got to go through all of this with them, they shouldn't even be there.
Yeah, I told
They're
them.
wasting time.
I said, here's what I would do, since they don't understand.
Boy, we got
If I was in member of parliament,
illiterate.
I would have tabled a bill to repeal the Nationality Act. Just
Of
to
course.
kill it.
Just throw it out.
Throw it out. And
Because
then
it's already
have them-
dead anyhow.
I said, just to let them know, I dig it up again and I can bury it for good this time
That's
with
right.
explanation, because apparently none of our members of parliament seems to understand that it's not law.
Look at the people who they had as attorney general. Huh? A brilliant attorney general like Paul L. Adderley, who Lyndon had there. Boy, he could row
Yes.
when it come into law. He didn't even see it himself. Sean McQueenie, who graduated from the Augustins when I graduated, he himself, a brilliant lawyer, didn't see it. You got Alfred Sayers, who's supposed to be what? They call him
One of the
constitutional lawyer.
constitutional- yes.
He himself knows better. See, that one knows better. He's sitting in the seat right now. He could tell them, stop the crap.
Well,
He isn't man enough to do it.
Well, he is
That's
not,
the problem with him.
well, he is not the AG, and I don't think he would have obeyed AG under this administration. They
But the
realize-
point
yes,
is, he is the Minister for Citizenship and Immigration, isn't he not?
yeah, well, he is a member of the board.
No. Listen to me. Listen to me carefully. What did I just say to you?
The minister.
Is he not the Minister for what? Citizenship and Immigration? Is he not?
Yes.
Is he not, according to the Constitution, overall control, overall control of that ministry?
Yes.
Well, then what the heck is being done then?
But you know,
Now, I know the Attorney General has a place to play. I ain't getting
but
into
you
that
know what
part
I
yet.
found out too is that this is the only country, I think, when it comes to citizenship, the citizenship board is the cabinet of the Bahamas.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah, and I was like, you mean to tell me the whole cabinet, not one of them member in the cabinet realized that that law is inconsistent with the Constitution?
Inconsistent, yes. From
And
day one.
You got couple KCs in the cabinet.
It doesn't matter whether they're KC, BC, DC, QC, MQ, doesn't matter at all. It's the fact that the personalities in the office, are they doing what the office requires them to do? I'm not interested in how brilliant the particular personality is. That means not a crap to me. That means nothing to the Bahamian people. You have the position of responsibility. The fact is we have to analyze them whether they are functioning according to the Constitution of the Commonwealth around them. The only thing supreme around here is the Constitution. Not no minister, not no prime minister, not no cabinet. They are to operate within the law. And for 52 years, they have been violating the Constitution from the very first day, July the 10th, 1973. Now, we got to stop that foolishness. Babies, you all need to wake up to the kind of crap we've been living under since independence. That's how serious this is. You need to do your homework, Bahamians. I've done my homework. I could speak very strongly on this. And Alfred Sayers knows better.
Yes.
He knows better, but he's sitting right there in our cabinet with his mouth all pinned up and talking about he ain't running again in Fort Charlotte. What the heck that is to do with you? Ain't nothing to do with you.
Do your job.
Do your job while you're there now. You're the Minister for Immigration and Citizenship. He still got time to. He could tell him, stop this crap right now.
Yeah.
But is he man enough to do it? We will see.
Yes.
I ain't care nothing about his brilliance, how brilliant he is. That means nothing to me. You in the office. Are you performing what the office requires you to perform? That's what's important.
Or is he prepared to do what is right?
Wait a minute now. Been there long enough now. They had him in there. How many years they say been in Fort Charlotte? 20-something years?
Almost 20-something years.
Yes. Yeah, 20-something years. Let me get Brother Hiley in here, because Hiley ain't say nothing yet.
Right.
Hiley didn't mean to leave you. Why you writing? He must be write down everything I say. Brother Hiley. Oh boy, we're going to a break. I gotta let you come on after the break. But the point is, we got an attorney, no, not attorney general. We got a Minister for Citizenship and Immigration. He knows better. We know he knows better. And he right there with his mouth all pinned up. Got this soft talk. Come on, Mr. Minister, do your job, man. Or the next thing you do, you just resign. That's what you could do. Tell the man you can't go up with this crap, man. Be a man at least once in your lifetime and do something for the Bahamian people. This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
Good day, Bahamas. I don't have no problem being quiet. Uh,
I think neither of you don't have a problem
yeah,
with that.
when it's time to take action, we have a lot of work to do. So um, I'm looking at the Facebook comments, Professor,
Yes, sir.
and quite a few interesting comments. Ms. Carey is saying all these people or all these members of parliament not running again on the PLP ticket should tell you all something.
Of course.
See, even their party is tired of them.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson is saying, send 6 girls to Acklands. See, a lot of good single young men looking for good single young ladies out there.
Is that so? Okay.
Okay.
I got to work on that one then.
Okay. Corey Scott, he's saying the same thing will happen to the thieves, will happen to, he's making a comment on an earlier statement.
Okay.
But Kerry is saying again, Professor, we know that the government is violating our constitution, but we, the Bahamians, are sitting and letting it happen.
Yes.
We need to go to Parliament and drag the people out of our house. They're not going to do what we are paying them to do. And then we can deal with the Haitians constitutionally.
Okay.
Johnson is asking Mr. Cartwright, Mr. Cartwright, what do you think about the MP for Michael, the budget speech yesterday?
I got to answer that one.
I'll let you finish.
Okay.
Yeah. Kerry is saying we need to deal with our cabinet first, even above the Haitian situation, even before the Haitian situation and others. They're saying the cabinet is who we need to deal with first.
Okay.
And hold them accountable.
Okay. Good.
Professor, I'll come from a different angle. A lot of comments have come forward on the illegal migration or immigration problem.
Yeah, that is correct.
It is so interesting. While we're dealing with numbers like 4,000, the Dominican Republic reported, of course, they share the same island. So it's
Right.
They share a border.
Right.
So you're going to expect more activity at close range. But the Dominican Republic reported that they deported 200,000 Haitians over a period of a few months, about 4 months.
Wow.
200,000
Haitians.
over a period of about 4
months.
months.
Okay.
We have reports coming from the Coast Guard that they have had to conduct search and rescue operations night and day. We read that report on the show.
Yeah, you did.
I read it directly from the Coast Guard news.
Yes, you did.
They have an operation called Operation Vigilant Sentry. A sentry is a soldier.
Right.
So Operation Vigilant Soldier, where they said they have unprecedented activity night and day,
Yes.
watching the borders of America.
Yes.
Professor, you realize the United States government has given to the Bahamian people, to the Bahamas government, 4 patrol vessels.
4. Okay. All right.
4. They're not inexpensive. They're very costly.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number. The point is, to me, that sends a message.
That sends a strong message.
Here
Yes, it
are
does.
4 patrol vehicles
Right.
to assist you and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force in patrolling the waters of the Bahamas.
Yes.
Now, how much money did we have in our own budget for vessels to patrol
That's a
our
good
borders?
question. That's a good question. Yeah.
Did we have any?
That's a good question.
So we say we deporting 4,000 a year. The Dominican Republic's there to deport over 200,000.
In a few months.
And now I arrive at this point. Last week, President Donald Trump signed an executive order banning 12 countries,
Okay.
citizens of 12 countries. Among them was Haiti,
Okay.
banned from coming to the United States.
That means no citizens from those countries.
No
can go to the United
citizens
States.
from Haiti are allowed to come to
The United States.
the United States.
Okay.
And
What
he's
about the other Caribbean nations? Do you have a listing of them? You remember them?
the countries on this list were places like Afghanistan
Okay.
and among others. I don't have the list here with me.
Oh, no, I was under the impression there
No,
was
not from the Caribbean. No, no, no.
Okay, all right.
From the Caribbean, it's only Haiti.
It's only Haiti. Okay.
Only Haiti
Not
out of the
Jamaica?
Caribbean.
Not even Jamaica?
Not Jamaica.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Now they put a ban on our currency. That's a different conversation for another time.
Oh, okay.
If I had to explain, Bahamians don't even understand that America don't even want our currency.
No, that's
The
a problem.
Bahamian, that's a whole
That's a
conversation.
whole
When we deal with
conversation
banking,
altogether.
we'll deal with that. Let me just say for now to the Bahamian people, some of who cannot wait to vote for a particular color. That same party, that same particular color, that same administration is responsible for bringing the Bahamian currency to a place where you cannot deposit your Bahamian currency into the Bank of America or
Really?
Wachovia or
Really?
Morgan Stanley.
But they need to understand that.
Understand what is happening to us. We are imploding. We are in a free fall.
I believe Mr. Bruce is saying we have a caller. Ms. Bruce, are you saying that?
Yes, we have
Caller,
a call.
you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Professor, what I have to say, I really don't understand all these human rights people who reaching out for the Haitians and whatever have you. Dominican Republic repatriated all those people. Not one person said Dominican Republic was being inhumane for sending them back.
Yes.
Canada deported 30,000 in 1 year. Nobody said it. But then the Bahamas does it. Everybody trying to make us feel guilty. What these people need to do, France is the mother country. Why don't they repatriate them to France? And we really don't know how deep this immigration thing is. It's going to affect us. And the worst thing that could happen is our money to be devalued. And if we keep playing these games, America going to let us see that they mean business and they going to devalue our money, irrespective of the agreement that they made in 1967 for the dollar-to-dollar value of the U.S. and Bahamians. We've never had a devaluation of our currency. And if we continue with this foolishness, Trump is going to show us who's the big man.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to stop. We need to get serious.
Okay. Well, thank you
Seriously.
for your contribution. She's right on target.
Definitely so. Let me extend this, right? Because we do have a correction. Stanley Johnson over Facebook is saying, Mr. Hyler, Cuba is also on the list. So
Cuba's
I
on
do
the
now
list.
remember.
Okay.
Yes, and I do recall seeing Cuba on the list as well, along
So is a
with
list of
Haiti.
12 nations.
12
He's
nations.
banning. Is any African nation on the list?
Yes, quite a few of the African nations. I wish I had the list here for you,
Yeah,
Professor.
okay, all right. Okay.
On Tuesday when I came, I had the list and I started to read some of the country off of the list, but I don't have the
You
list
don't
here
have the
with me
list
now.
you. Okay, no problem.
The United States is very serious about their immigration policy.
I believe that.
Based on what the caller said, America itself is not allowing immigrants to come in from Haiti, but nobody is saying that they are being inhumane.
Exactly, yeah.
The
that's
Turks and
right.
Caicos Islands actually called in Great Britain
Great Britain, yeah.
to assist.
Assist them.
Great Britain sent an aircraft carrier
Right,
with supporting air and sea capabilities
right.
to deal with immigration issue. And here it is now. We seem to be the lone one just saying our doors are open. So, many flights, you would know, Professor, have been canceled to Haiti. But the Bahamas increased the flights to bring more traffic between Haiti and the Bahamas.
Now, this is utter foolishness. Why is that happening? We got to find out from the man at Bahamas Air.
They
What's
had
going on?
they had shooting at airplanes
Yes, there
at
was,
the
yeah.
airport.
At the airport,
There were
that's correct.
planes were being shot at the
Yes.
airport,
At the airport, yeah.
and at that point they ceased flights. And then at a later point, they reinitiated flights, but very cautiously. But we saw it as a business opportunity. When the other airlines pulled out, we fly into Haiti while we are losing, for example, to Exoma. We lost Silver Airways.
Silver Airways, yeah.
They're going through a
Now the
bankruptcy.
man is claiming that Bahamas Air is going to fill in those routes for Silver Airways.
Where are these planes coming
I don't
from?
know where they're coming from. according to him.
where the planes coming from? Where the resources coming from?
But see, what is the point of having flights coming out of Haiti when Haiti doesn't have a stable government? They have no legitimate government in place.
Professor, you asked the question, what is the point? I don't know what Mr. Carey feel about it. Obviously, they
But
want...
the Cartwright going to get his
Yeah,
point. when we finish.
well, obviously, they want more travel between Haiti and the Bahamas.
For what purpose?
Possibly.
What does Haiti have to offer us but crap?
They have voter cards for the Bahamas.
Anyhow,
Some come in without even ever being here before.
now that's a different conversation. And don't get me vexed on that one. When you finish,
No,
I can answer the
no
Cartwright.
Bahamians
Come
don't
on.
understand what is happening.
Yeah, but they have to be on. That's why I take the time to explain to them in simple, basic, fundamental language. They have to understand so that they can make a sound decision and a good judgment at the appointed time. They have to come to understand who the real culprits are in dealing with our national affairs.
Professor, we don't even have news coming out of Haiti.
Yes.
I want everybody, you know what, I'm semi-retired. I need to go. If I were to go back into business, I would sell smelling salt. Remember the smelling salt?
Yeah, I
Put it to your
remember
nose and it just
Right.
shock you up
Shock you
and
right
just,
up, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Wake you right
I
up.
would sell smelling salt to try to wake the Bahamian people up.
But they're sleeping.
They're sleeping, they need to wake up, smell the ginseng. That's out of China.
Yeah.
You need to wake up and smell the charcoal.
Right.
The
They
Bahamas,
need to
our
know.
trees are burning.
Burning, yes.
Charcoal plants being made. Our Minister of the Environment is very quiet on all matter. Cartwright read on issues related to our seabed,
Yeah.
the management of our National Investment Fund. Look at the things that our government is being quiet on. Quiet.
Very quiet.
And persons are writing to the newspaper to say, well, hold on now. We need more transparency. We need to understand more. We need stronger legislation. All these king's councils, all these lawyers, you don't think they could craft strong legislation on behalf of the Bahamian people?
Of course they can, if they're willing to do so. And I think they need to be stronger in their presentation, because the presentation, what the gentleman put there, is that same terminology that they use among their peers. But if they're going to say anything to the public, it has to be put in a language that the average Bahamian can get it. They don't seem to understand how important that is. You're coming up with all these terminologies. The woman in Baintown, the woman in Fort Fincastle, hold on, call it, don't go nowhere. And other places, Acklands and Andrews and them other places, they don't know the heck what you're talking about. So they do not get the messages way over their heads. That's what these, educated personalities need to understand. We can't keep going on like this. Caller, you live on here. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to Mr. Harler, Mr. Cartwright, and
Yes.
yourself, Professor.
Yeah,
Good day.
thank you.
Good day.
Good day. I'm calling out of Grand Bahama.
Good.
Yeah, I think you had said earlier that I think Mr. Alfred Sears is a constitutional lawyer. Am I correct?
That's what we
that's
understand him
correct.
to be.
Yeah, because he used to be a lawyer too when I used to work for the company, the power company. He
Okay.
represented us.
Yeah.
Brilliant man, but I think you're absolutely right. He's not doing his job.
No, he is not.
As a minister of immigration, he's not doing his job.
No, he is not.
But I don't know if his hands are tied because
His hand ain't no tie. The Constitution ain't tie his hand.
No.
Tie his
Yeah,
hand.
well, I don't know, but I know that the Prime Minister and Fred Mitchell, those two kind of more popular in the party than him.
No,
So I don't know
no,
whether
hold
they
up right
probably.
there. Hold on, caller. Just hold on. See, I got to make some correction right in there.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't checking for no PLP party. I'm talking about the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And people don't seem to understand how important this is. If they want to have crap in their party, let them keep it in the PLP party. When it comes to the governance of this country, that's a whole kettle of fish. Because
know.
the minister has what? Overall direction and overall control of that ministry. And he need to tell the prime minister that to his face. Ain't no
That's what
such thing as no prime minister telling him what to do.
Yeah,
Once
that's
you
what it
give
should
the
be.
man, hold on, caller. Once you give the man that authority, The Constitution says he has overall direction and overall control of that ministry, not the Prime Minister. Not the Prime Minister. See, we got this whole thing all mixed up, man. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We know how things go in this country. We're not following the law.
No,
anyway,
you're not.
so
Okay, all right, okay.
I guess he happens to be afraid, like you said.
He
He got his mouth shut up. He got his mouth pinned up there.
all kind of
And
pin
he should be doing what he's supposed to do.
But that's the
Now
whole
here it is.
point.
Here it is. Now we do have a massive problem in
Massive
our country
problem.
with immigration.
Yes, you're right, caller.
It's a massive problem that we have, and I don't know how we're gonna get this sorted out. But
We can get it
we
sorted.
might have to bring in some help, some constitutional lawyer from maybe Barbados, Jamaica, or what to help us out, because in this country here, I mean, even our own lawyers are not saying anything and not doing anything. We got the pastors of these churches and not doing or saying anything. I think I overheard one of the pastors from, I think it was probably Zion, maybe
Yeah.
last week, talking about it. I think that was him talking about it, and and they had a lot at the time. There's a lot of inspectors and what have you sitting down there. So it had to been, I think it might have been Zion.
Yeah, Zion
But-
Church, yeah. It
It
was
might have
Zion,
been-
yeah.
It might have been him. He made the point, and I think that was a good time to do it. But we need more of that.
Yeah, we do.
We need more of that. We need to be very conscious. And Bahamians, like you said, Bahamians are so passive.
Too passive.
We are lazy. We lay down sleep while all sorts of things going on in this country. This country is not like it used to be.
No,
You
it
know
isn't.
that.
Yeah, that is correct. You're right, caller.
You know that this country, I mean, things has changed. We can't seem to put our arms around it. And I heard I think Mr. Hilo said earlier that Dominican Republic repatriate something like 200,000.
In a
And
matter
how
of a couple
come
of months.
Yeah, and we repatriate 4,000. I mean, that's nothing.
They ain't serious.
That's nothing. So we have a problem. And when it comes to election time, those people who've been given citizenship, they should not be allowed to vote. Now, I don't know whether the Chief Justice can get involved in this.
The Chief
What have you, but
Justice
these-
has what?
He got to do something.
But
Because they
that's why
cannot
I
go
can
and
try
vote.
to see him on Monday.
Please do.
I am trying to get the Chief Justice, because the main number what they got in the book, you call that, they tell you nobody did answer the friggin' phone. You any crap like that?
This is serious.
No, it is very
Professor,
serious.
It is
Professor, this is serious.
I'm bothering to call them Monday morning. I'm going straight to the Chief Justice office.
We got to wake up. We got to get
And
this
I will
together.
tell the Bahamian people, I've given them notice right now. Whatever crap they say to me, they talk foolishness and nonsense, I'll let the Bahamian people know right here live on air. Don't
That's
mess
right,
around with
exactly.
Professor Thompson, because see, I know my constitutional rights.
That's
And
right.
the Chief Justice is the head of the judiciary. Ain't no political personality supposed to be interfering with him. I'm going to him for justice. We have a major case against the government of the Bahamas for
That's right.
violating this constitution. And we ain't playing with them on that.
But Professor, we have to do something. I'm prepared to get out there. I'm here in Grand Bahama right now. I'm prepared to come into Nassau and help out whatever I got to do. But we got to do something. And we got to do it now.
You're going to be given, and I'm going to tell the
We got to
people
do
right
it now.
we're going to give you clear-cut instructions as to what to do. And everything you hear from Professor Sidney Walter Thompson is constitutionally sound. We ain't telling you to do nothing what ain't constitutionally sound.
Thank you.
We're going with that. And then
Thank you.
if them fellas don't want to wake with it, no problem. We will find another alternative.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to take it step by step. But the first one is the Chief Justice. We're going to him.
Thank you. So
Thank you very much.
one more thing I want to ask you on the softer side. I worked at BEC for years.
Yeah.
Cyril Thompson. Is he anything to you? Cyril
Yeah,
Thompson?
that's my brother, yeah.
Engineer.
Yeah, engineer, yeah.
Very brilliant man. Yeah,
Very
we worked
brilliant.
together.
Yeah.
We worked together at BEC at the time.
Yes.
Where is he now?
No, he is deceased, unfortunately.
Oh, gee.
Almost a year.
Yeah,
I
okay.
lost him last June. 3 days
yes,
after
yeah.
his birthday. He was born on the 18th, June 18th, and then June 21, he was gone.
Yeah, so sad.
I miss him. I
so
miss him a
sad.
lot.
Anyhow, Professor, we'll talk. I'll probably call
Thank
you
you.
offline, and and have some chats. But
Yeah, give
we gotta
Mr.
do
Brewster,
something.
give that gentleman my number so he could call me offline.
Please do, give it to me.
Yeah, hold on the line, caller, and then he'll give it to you. Mr. Brewster, give him the number.
That's another thing I want to
Yeah.
get
Okay.
Cartwright for you on this also.
Yeah,
Professor, just so that we've said this before, but just so that the general public has an idea of the gravity of not just with what we are facing with the Nationality Act
Yes.
problem and
Right.
violation.
right.
There's a violation, whereas from the constitutional standpoint, there's something called the separation of powers.
Yes, there is.
So we have three branches of government according
Yes.
to our constitution.
That's correct.
So the public really needs to understand, even though we have a prime minister, he is really one leader with two other leaders that he ought not to interfere with.
That's correct.
Two other leaders,
That's correct.
and that is the legislative branch
Yes,
is led by the Speaker of the House,
that's correct.
Miss Patricia DeVoe. Even though she may have a party boss, political body,
I ain't nothing to do with the issue.
Professor, that's why you keep wanting us to get separate the two.
That's what I'm saying.
The party,
He gets up in the house, talk crap. She
Yes.
tell him sit your backside down.
because she is the higher
She is the
authority
Yes.
over Mr. Philip Edward Brave Davis.
He's just a member of the house, just like anybody else.
So this is very important
It's very
because
important.
law is crafted in the House of Assembly.
That's right.
He is not the leader of the crafting of law.
No, he's not.
He's not the leader. He is the leader of the executive branch to carry out and execute what is decided upon, debated in the upper house, in the Senate, and sent back
Yes.
for execution.
Okay, you're correct.
That's the functioning
I think we need to say that
of the
more often.
of the prime minister.
Yes.
And before we go to this break, so you have the legislative branch with the Speaker of the House, but then we also have the judiciary or the judicial branch with the Chief Justice being the leader
Right.
above the Prime Minister.
Of course he is.
He don't have to look at the Prime Minister.
You can get him locked up if you get in the way.
That is the proper
Throw him right in
functioning.
the cell.
That's the proper operation of the Constitution of the Bahamas.
That's
We
correct.
shouldn't have no problem out of the Chief Justice.
Boy, I ain't gonna find out on Monday. I can find out what the Chief Justice is up to.
Yes, sir.
We got to test the man.
Yes, sir.
He say he's there for justice. I
Yes,
can't
sir.
get him on the phone. I can't get to his office well, in the past you could have gotten there, but ain't nobody that answer the phone. They tell you ain't nobody that answer the
That
phone.
don't sound constitutional, Professor.
That ain't constitutional at all.
Okay.
So I go in there first thing Monday morning. I can go right down to Bank Lane and see if I could get something out of the office of Chief Justice,
All right.
because they answer no phone. No, you're quite right, and Brother Hyler, Brother Cartwright, I know he got a lot to say on that too. This is Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson. We have an exciting conversation today. This is Open Line Friday, so we still want you to call in. And thank you, that last caller. He made some excellent points, and of course, he expressed sympathy to me about my brother. My brother passed about a year ago, and I'm still suffering from that. This is Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. I hear until Christ come back. I ain't going nowhere. This is Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
Express yourself live.
have a lot of work to do, Bahamians, and we want you to call in and be a part of the show and move on. We have a caller on the line. We have a caller. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Good afternoon, Brother Thompson. Good
Hey,
afternoon,
what's
Brother
happening?
Cartwright. Good afternoon, Brother Hylo.
Hey,
Yeah.
good
So
day.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Good day. Good day.
Yes. Good afternoon. Brother Thompson, I hear you all talking about, I didn't catch the full show, but I hear you all talking about Alfred Sayers and different stuff like that a little bit. But the thing what gets me about these, the politicians, well, I mean, first of all, before I forget, I think Brother Highlight read a text or something from Facebook where someone named like Sant Carey or someone or something like that. He said something
Sandra
about
Carey.
we need to go in, we need to walk up inside the house
Take them out.
and take those individuals to ourselves.
Yeah, that's what you
You
said.
understand? And march them down to Fox Hill Prison. You understand? Come from and
You had
put them in
nothing
there.
said.
Put them on remand until they get answer whatever they got to answer. Because see, as long as we sit back, because like you said, Brother Thompson, no pastor, ain't no lawyer, no agency, nothing around here has a united body of individuals who seem to be about doing the right thing and about righteousness, like you said, who ain't scared to stand up but I mean, it ain't about being scared, Brother Thompson. I think it's about lack of integrity. Because once you have integrity, you don't have fear, because you just have this burning desire to deal with corruption. You understand? And the thing about it is that when you see Alfred Sayers retire from frontline politics or whatever it is, chances are he's gonna get some cushy job that he still can make money from, collecting pension, you know what I mean, from doing that part-time work, whereas every administration he's serving, when he left, they left the country worse than they met it. But when he left at the end of that 5-year term, he left better off coming out than he went coming in. That's the kind of stupidness we have to put an end to, man. You know what I mean? And furthermore, when individuals serve in the House and represent government in our country, and we know that they've been doing foolishness when they were in there. We know that when they were in there, they spoke a bunch of nonsense to us, right? They should forever be answering questions for us whilst they out. They should never be comfortable walking around here and expect to be like, oh, look at Mr. Alfred Sayers, hey, Sayers, how you doing? And treat him like he is so a man worthy of such praise. When we see him, we supposed to have a screw face. We supposed to be upset. And we supposed to look at him and tell him, boy, look here, the actions of you and them people got this country mess up. You understand? Because see, the thing about it is that when they come out, you don't hear from none of them no more in terms of trying to fight on behalf of the people. They are regular citizens now, They're regular civilians now, Like for example, Mr. Shivago Lang. Mr. Shivago Lang was a politician who was involved in the sale of our telephone company. You understand where I'm coming from? But Mr. Lang is on the radio now, talking and pontificating on the radio as if he have our best interests at heart. When on the radio, on his talk show, he said that he is for banks and big business. Mr. Lang confesses on the radio, but yet still, Mr. Lang is involved in the government policy making institute or whatever the case may be at COB at the College of the Bahamas. Now, what in the world a man like Mr. Lang have to do? Involved with the policy making in government, especially, policy making for government, especially when he's a man who is not on the side of the people, when he's a man who's on the side of the public, on the side of the banks and big business. What in the world Mr. Lang doing fooling around with the policy institute? You understand? See, we the public, whenever individuals like Mr. Lang, like Mr. Sayers to get a talk show, what y'all need to do is y'all need to call them 24/7 and make him understand that y'all understand that y'all ain't forgive him for selling y'all telephone company. And he can't come on the radio and say nothing about having our best interests at heart when he already confessed for being on the side of banks and big business. We need to stop playing around with these politicians in this country because they don't do no work. They have a part-time job where they don't sit down and they don't sit down and develop no law, no policy. All they do is be getting feed policy from international institutions. All they're doing is bringing in these quasi-government regulation agencies now to come in and take over our country. You understand? We need to hold them people responsible because, like I said before, after every government that go in there and come out, they just leave the country in a worse shape than they met it, and they just come out richer And then when they come out after they finish their political career, we still treat them as if they're gods and superstars. We need to walk up inside there whenever they say they don't answer us, like whenever they refuse to answer us, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Hyland, Mr. Cartwright. If we ain't real men in this country, if we ain't men enough to do what a woman say on Facebook, which is to walk up into the House of Assembly, put handcuff on them ourselves, and carry them down to the Fox Hill prison, if we ain't men enough to do that, then that means that they don't wait for us. We wait for them. All right? Now, I'm sick and tired of this country, man. I'm sick and tired of everyone just talking. The pastors, them, ain't no one fighting against spiritual wickedness in high places. We need to start to put pressure on people whose job it is to solve the problems in this country. And like I say, like I just mentioned, in particular the church, man. You know what I mean? These people I'm living high. These people I'm living their best life. And these are the individuals who are supposed to be making the most sacrifice for us. Y'all have a good day, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl. Oh, he said a lot.
Very strong.
Gentlemen,
Brother, I want to jump on that, but it's Cartwright.
Cartwright.
Yeah. Basically, the gentleman is
Boy,
right.
yeah.
But he's 100% right.
One of the things that
On what he
upsets
said.
me mostly is that when you look at men like Alfred Sayers or Maurice Clinton or Sidney Thompson, men who we know knows the Constitution better than most. How the government find ways to, in a way I say, muzzle and hire them in positions where now they can't speak to marketers.
Okay.
So with the government, and this is what I've been watching carefully. Like the caller said with Shivago, like, and I someone said, "Oh, he's working with the government." So I was like, if he's working for the government, then how can he speak out against the government? Because that's his employer.
Question. Yeah, that's his employer.
And so when you listen to persons speak about the matters that face us,
Yes.
it's like, like today, I got on a serious note that my pastor, the lady Francis' wife, she passed.
Say that again. I didn't hear that.
Yes. This morning, I got a text from my pastor that her mother, the sweet potato.
Wow.
She passed today at the age of 98.
Oh, wow.
So I'm giving my
sorry to hear
condolence
Yes,
to the whole entire Francis family
Yes.
and stuff. And I always tell people that when you lose people like those who were champions, I remember as a young man that she used to basically, like with her husband, the Earl, and other members of the Baptist faith, like Ari Cooper and all of those guys, H.W. Brown,
they were warriors.
Reverend
They were
Coolbrook,
warriors.
whose son always calls the show.
Yeah, he does all the time.
They were the persons who championed the cause
Right.
of the Bahamian people.
That's right.
Yes,
They were
they certainly
outspoken.
did.
Yeah. And
They were outspoken.
what is happening now, and I also tell people that for some reason, just like the caller said, our religious leaders have basically gone silent.
Yes.
I remember I had a conversation with the president of the Christian Council, and I asked him straight up, I said, Reverend Fernando, you are chartered accountant by profession. I said, has anybody in the government called to ask for your service? He said, no. And I was like, as a country that is growing, and as a government, if you're trying to provide good governance, you should not matter to you if you got talent out there that you can use,
Of course.
that can help you.
That can help you.
Because I also tell people that the smartness in the country is not in the parliament.
No, it isn't.
It's outside the parliament.
That's right.
It's outside the Senate.
Yes.
And if you don't believe me, I said, walk around these 700 islands and keys. Some of the most brilliant ideas did not came from the parliamentarians
Yes.
to move this country forward. It came from the average man. But a lot of times when they get in and they forget, but then when they get out, they be the same ones come knocking on your man and need your help.
Yes.
And I also said, man, come on. You get an opportunity once. I told people that when you look at this country that we call the Bahamas, for 52 years now, we've been a country. People don't realize in 52 years, we've only had 5 leaders. Think about that. 5. In some countries, they've been changed leaders over 20, 30 times.
Yes, that's right.
And we sit around, and that's why I get mad when I tell people, I say, listen, man, when you live in your community, and I told a guy this yesterday, I said, man, I said, you just go to the constituencies, headquarters, and find a question. No, I vote for them. I said, but that's the more reason you should go.
Yes.
Because it's your country. I said, you can let other people go and get things done, and other people come facilitate them while you sit home and then you figure out, you blame. No, this is your country. You need to fight for it.
Right. I believe we have some tapes we were to
Yes.
put on. Mr. Producer, you could put on the first tape, please, so we could comment on that.
The Bahamian people, colleagues who are failing the Bahamian people. And so what he did yesterday was totally distasteful. And all the hecklers that joined him, they were breaking after the last presentation yesterday. You're telling me you're going on a break early in Parliament and you could not allocate 2 minutes for us to say to the people of Harbor Island, we see you, we hear you, we identify with your pain. It is an absolute disgrace. I stand by what I did, and he should hang his head, and they should hang their head in disgrace.
Brother Hyla?
Yes, that.
Cartwright, I'm sorry.
The leader of the opposition, I think, what
What had happened there?
was that he got up on a point whereby that he asked the deputy speaker and said, listen, I've spoken to you before the session started that I will be, if I can get permission for 2 minutes to speak to the matter what happened in Harbor Island.
Yeah, okay.
The deputy speaker said, recognized that they had spoken, and he agreed that he had given him permission. Okay. So he got up and made his presentation, and during his presentation, the leader of government business got up, tried to get up and complain about that it was irregular. And it was after the last person who had made their presentation. Right. And he said, for only 2 minutes. Okay. So as he started...
This was relation to the incident that happened at Harbor.
Yes, but the killing went down.
No, that's very
yes.
serious. That's
and so he went to, he made his comment, and as he did, the leader of government business got up to appeal that it isn't in order for him to make the presentation. But the deputy speaker had already made his ruling that he made his ruling and he wanted to hear him. And because they were heckling and stuff, it went beyond 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then as soon as he's finished, then the deputy, the leader of the government business got up and made a motion for the House to take an early break, which was then ratified by his colleagues. And this is why what the speaker, the minister, Mr. Pintard was talking about, because it wasn't a long presentation. It was a short presentation. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you're showing people that you still care.
Yes.
And I looked at it and I said, the Minister of Natural Security said, okay, come on the piggyback of that, and said yes. And then now let's go back to our regular presentation, which is the budget. Exactly. And then move on, but they went to an early break, which is like, they went to like around about 11:30, 12 o'clock. They never came back until 3.
So, Mr. Cartwright, I'm seeing a pattern here. Professor?
Yes, sir.
When it get right down to the meat of the matter, so it's like children in elementary school, right? It's some argument break out right when it's the most important things that are being discussed. Somebody fidgeting with a pencil, or I want to make a presentation. Mind you, it's very important that what is happening in Harbor Island, this is not to discount, that you hear what is happening of a serious nature.
That's a serious nature, man.
In different communities.
Different communities, yeah.
So it's two sides of the argument.
That's right.
One side of the argument is the time is not allotted for that. The other side is this is an emergency. It's only a 2 minute presentation to bring the House and the public up to date on what is happening.
No, that is important.
So both sides are important. But you know what I'm tired of? What is more important is we only have a few more months to go. And Mr. Pintard started out what he said by who failed in what they supposed to do.
Yes. He did.
So what I want to say is Mr. Pintard has failed to be an effective leader of the opposition.
Okay.
What is he opposed other than through poetry? Now, I know I sound like the prime minister now. So I don't mean to make light of the arts.
Like him?
No. I don't want to sound like him.
All right, okay.
And I definitely don't want to join him in his efforts.
Excuse me.
I am so disappointed in all the future leaders, just dancing around trying to get into these major parties.
Yes.
Do you join a gang to stop gang activity?
No, you don't.
But this is the equivalent of what is happening in Bahamian politics. Professor, one other thing, I know we have a caller.
Right, okay,
The
go ahead.
chairman
Make
of
your
the
point.
two major parties, do you realize they have this word on their tongue that they like to call one another? Gangster. You heard that?
Yes.
The two chairmen of the two major parties like to point fingers at the other party. They calling one another gangsters.
Okay.
Is it possible that the two of them may be correct, Professor?
That they're calling each other gangsters?
Yes. Could the two of them be right? I
That's
rest
a
right
good
on
point.
that.
I think I can let
We-
the public make a
Yeah,
judgment
we have
on
a
that.
caller, Professor.
Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Professor. Good afternoon, Cartwright.
Where
And
you
good
been-
afternoon.
Hey,
Where you been hiding
to the
yourself
other
now?
folks.
good
Huh?
afternoon,
Patriot number 7?
Patriot. Good afternoon, Patriot.
Yeah, this number 7. Listen,
Okay.
a perfect match for the leader of the opposition in his position. Perfect.
Mm.
You know what I mean? He's a perfect playwright, perfect linguistic specialist. He's perfect for that role.
Mm-hmm.
All they're doing is pulling and hauling at the Bahamian people. If the leader of the opposition meant that much to the Bahamian people as what he is saying, then why the vote in the House of Assembly when it came to dissolve the Sovereign Wealth Fund was unanimous?
That's
Right.
a good
Huh?
question.
Right.
Good question.
If he wanted to help me, you and Professor and all of us,
Yes.
why he voted unanimously to dissolve the Sovereign Wealth Fund in favor of the National Investment Fund. Thanks for taking my call.
Excellent,
That's an
excellent submission.
question,
I know my time expired.
Yeah.
Cartwright, allow me this.
Go ahead, bro.
For Mr. Pentard to have one of his members stand down, I'm talking about Aram Lewis, right?
Yeah.
To have Mr. Aram Lewis stand down from the FNM. But also, Mr. Aram Lewis is pushing to remain on the Public Accounts Committee.
Okay.
I want Mr. Pentard to explain to the Bahamian people why he is fighting tooth and nail to get Mr. Aram Lewis away from the Public Account Committee. Let me be clear. The Public Accounts Committee is chaired by the leader of the opposition. That's how it's supposed to function.
Okay.
Mr. Michael Pentard is supposed to have, not supposed to, according to the
According to the
Constitution,
Constitution.
he has legal right
Yes.
to see, to view every business document that is signed by the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Legal subpoena authority.
Authority, yeah.
He has subpoena authority, and the Attorney General Ryan Pinder has no constitutional right to block, which it was stated that he did.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan, I want the public to understand, Mr. Ryan Pinder, your Attorney General, who is the senior legal advisor to the government,
Yes.
is on record as blocking information. He is who the Prime Minister, Philip Brave Davis, is depending on to keep the shroud of secrecy over deals like the Grand Lucayan,
Okay.
BPL, Exuma Moorings, FTX. The list goes on and on and on concerning this so-called New Day government, according to the BPL Union,
Yes.
keeping us in the dark.
That's what they said.
Not
Yeah.
only in Alaska, it is be dark in the daytime.
That's right.
So all I'm saying, Professor, and I wind down to this, why, if Mr. Pentard has access to all of the books and all of the information,
All the information.
Mr. Aram Lewis has stood down and has joined the COI.
Uh-huh.
The COI now technically has access to the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes,
Why
they
is
do.
Mr. Pentard fighting tooth and nail to keep Mr. Aram Lewis eyes away from the business of the people of the Bahamas?
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense at
Not at all.
all if you're supposed to be looking out for the people.
Right.
And I want it to be clear to the Bahamian people. We went through 4 years of silence from Mr. Michael Pentard concerning the business of the Bahamian people. So he has failed the Bahamian people when it comes to looking out for our best interests. So he has no right. He has no moral compass. He has no authority to say who failed at what, because he has failed the Bahamian people in opposing the deeds of this Philip Davis administration. That's my view.
No, you have that. You have a right to that view. And the last caller made an excellent point about the sovereign wealth fund, because it was unanimous.
Unanimous vote.
We have to understand that every one of them in that
All
house,
of
39 of them,
including Michael Pintard,
he's one of the 39.
He is in favor
Yes.
of dissolving
the
our sovereign wealth fund in favor of the National Investment Fund, which was stated it would be used for infrastructure. I want
Which is
people to
foolishness.
understand that.
Yeah,
That's what
they
they're going to
said.
use our natural resources for,
Oh,
not for the
crying
people,
out loud.
not to fix the D average. The Minister of Education say, y'all stop.
But aren't they not getting money now for infrastructure?
They're getting money left, right, and center.
So what the heck are you talking about for infrastructure?
Mr. Cartwright, we about to wrap up. Mr.
You
Cartwright.
know,
Put a card right. Go ahead.
Brother Hyler, it's amazing that the parliamentarians run the same game over and over and over when it comes to the funding.
Yes.
And you know, I said I cannot wait, and I listened to the former Prime Minister's contribution the other day, and I said to myself, man, you left some things out. I said I can't wait to tell you, man, are you gonna push for your view on fixed date for election? Are you gonna push for term limit? Are you gonna really push for free? And then even ask the question, what about your presentation for the what we need to know what all our natural resources?
Right.
But Cartwright, I have to cut you because my producer tell me I need to get out of the way. He knows how to do that.
Yes, I forget. I saw it.
No, but the music is coming in very clear into my ears, and I'm hearing it as he increases it slowly. So that means he's telling me get out of the way. This is Professor Sidney McArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. Thank you very much for participating. And of course, you know, Monday is Constitution Day. That's when I can have my say. Thank you very much for listening and participating. Bahamians, have a safe weekend. Pray to God to help us to save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Well, Professor, before we go, we're going to have a rebroadcast of Save the Bay up next after the show.
I was. So that's what the note was.
Yes, we will now. When we go off the air, we'll now be going into the broadcast of Save the Bay out of Freeport by Brother Joe Dowell.
Okay, thank you very much.
Your class is unruly today. We breaking protocol. I just asked the producer. We have a minute. We have 1 minute.
Oh, we got another minute.
I asked the professor. Listen.
Oh, you got to wait that 1 minute.
We can wait this 1 minute.
Okay,
Professor. According to what Cartwright is saying, also.
Yeah.
Mr. Alfred says, persons like even Marvin Dames, the former Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, they always have bright ideas after they come out of power.
After they get out of power, what kind of
when
crap
they
is
come
that?
out of power, they have all kind of bright ideas and what should have been done. Marvin Dames is saying not enough money was put towards oversight. The new independent commission.
Yes.
They give them $30,000, Professor. All these billions of dollars we have, anything that spells freedom of information and oversight for our government, they don't want it. I just leave it right there.
Okay. This is Professor Sidney McArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We have to go. Have a pleasant weekend. Thank you very much for participating. Pray to God for the safety of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is Professor Sidney McArthur, Walter Thompson. Have a pleasant weekend.
All the fathers, happy Father's Day from the Global Radio family, 99.5. Have a great weekend.